Pete Hegseth was on Capitol Hill earlier today, and he had an interesting comment to make about all of this. In other words, he doesn't want this turning into a situation that blows out of control, such as we saw, in the streets of Minnesota not too long ago under the leadership of one Tim Walz, who did not have the National Guard stepping in. Watch.
Where in your limited budget, sir, are you going to find, in the remainder of this fiscal year, are you going to pull the money to cover these deployments? What holes are being created?
Well, Congresswoman, thank you for the question. You are right. We're both originally from Minnesota, which is why I recall 2020 quite well, when Governor Walz abandoned a police precinct and allowed it to be burned to the ground, and also allowed 5 days of chaos to occur inside the streets of Minneapolis. The police precinct, ma'am, was abandoned and burned to the ground. And because of that, the National Guard was eventually far too late mobilized. And President Trump recognizes a situation like that, improperly handled by a governor, like it was by Governor Walz, if it gets out of control, is a bad situation for the citizens of any location. So in Los Angeles, we believe that ICE, which is a federal law enforcement agency, has the right to safely conduct operations in any state and any jurisdiction in the country, especially after 21 million illegals have crossed our border under the previous administration. ICE ought to be able to do its job, whether it's Minneapolis or Los Angeles.
I have limited time. I asked a budget
and they
question. Could the Secretary please address the budget? Thank you.
You asked about the situation in Los Angeles, and we believe ICE agents should be allowed to be safe in doing their operations, and we have deployed National Guard and the Marines to protect them in the execution of their duties, because we ought to be able to enforce immigration law in this country, unlike what Governor Walz did in 2020.
Wow. Wow, that was like pretty rough for her. Now, in fairness to her, she did ask about the budget. He blew right past that. That's Pete. He comes from TV. We know how to do that. Better than any politician, perhaps. So she's asking about the budget, and he's like, no, here's the deal. Budget doesn't matter, right? Budget be damned. We're doing what we need to do because we don't want a situation. And he's right. I mean, remember that. That was horrible. You think about 2020, the left was like, oh, nothing to see here, nothing to see here. It's like, guys, I mean, they did. To his point, with the burning of the precinct, I mean, get rid of the police, defund the police, and Black Lives Matter turned into something that it really never should have. And it was awful. And we paid the price. Frankly, we're still paying the price. And if the Democrat Party were smart, they would recognize that they let that go too far, that got too far out of line. And guess what? It cost them in 2024 because Donald Trump won not only the Electoral College, but the popular vote. All right? So you see how these things backfire? You see what happens? The pendulum swings. And so by allowing that chaos to exist and by allowing the estimated millions, 20 million by some accounts of illegal migrants to cross into this country totally undetected, what effectively then happened was you had chaos and you had a whole group of people that you couldn't afford. So it wasn't actually good for the country. I mean, you can be all for immigration. I am, believe me. You know what? You want to come to this country, you want to work hard, you want to contribute? Hey, I mean, I'll echo what Donald Trump said in 2016. Let's roll out the red carpet, right? For people that we want here, that want to be here, you can be smart about this. But when you're not smart about it and you don't know who's here, well, then it becomes a national security threat. And then you're dealing with situations that you really wish you weren't dealing with. And so Pete Hegseth is right to say, listen, it is high time that we make sure that this is manageable so that we actually are protecting people. And why on earth Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass wouldn't want that, I don't know. If it were me and all HELL was breaking loose and I couldn't manage it, wouldn't I say, hey, yeah, and work with the federal government to actually bring it under control? I mean, hey, people should be able to protest. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big, queen of the First Amendment right here. So I'm a big believer in our First Amendment, and people should be able to. But when it gets this crazy, that's when you're going to start raising the alarm signals.